Last summer, I made a video titled, "Is the 23-24 Championship lineup the best ever?" 8 months later, in the midst of a red-hot promotion race, I've been thinking about that video and whether my title was accurate or not. There's a couple of ways of looking at it. One is very wholesome and all about the football. One is very depressing and all about the money. The reason I was excited about the lineup was as follows. Up from League One came Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich and Plymouth. Their 96, 98 and 101 point totals suggested a winning mentality at all three clubs. Of the three relegated into the Championship that season, only Burnley had bounced straight back. Norwich and Watford know their way to promotion, and they would also be with us for at least another year. The losing playoff competitors, Coventry, Middlesbrough and Sunderland, all had big assets and potential momentum to try and go that one step further. And what, I hear you ask, about the £800 gorilla in the room? The three relegated teams coming down were not your average yo-yo teams or regular circlers of the Premier League relegation drain. Leeds, 3 seasons in the Premier League, returned with their giant fan base and intensity. Southampton, 11 seasons up at the top level. In that time, they created a who's who of players that came through the club and went on to the biggest and best the game has to offer. And Leicester, 9 Premier League seasons, a title win, an FA Cup, European football, and top 5 finishes in 2 of the 3 seasons before they were relegated. So, what do we know now that we didn't 8 months ago? Well, the playoff losers all ended up losing the stars of the teams that got them there. Right now, Borough and Sunderland are lurking, but Coventry have retooled and are once again right in the thick of it. The two sides who couldn't bounce back in the first year after relegation haven't exactly set the world alight, but both Watford and Norwich are right on the edges of the current playoff picture. Hull have backed their manager and are in the picture, while Carlos Corberan looks like repeating his surprise playoff appearance with Huddersfield over at West Brom this season, in spite of all those off-pitch financial difficulties. And then, incredibly, 12 points clear of the top 4. The 3 relegated Premier League teams are all there and performing well. Leeds, 1 point off the magic 2 points per game in 4th. Southampton, 2 points above it in 3rd. Way off in the distance at the top are Leicester with the surprise package Ipswich in 2nd, where Kieran McKenna has taken the winning momentum from League One to the Championship without skipping a beat. From a purely football point of view, it's tremendous. Leicester are the standard to follow, an obvious champions-elect. Behind them, we've got a great race between Leeds, with their brilliant attacking talent and 2-time championship winner, Daniel Farke. Southampton, with the ultra-possession style and brilliant undefeated streak. And Ipswich, the romantic story of potential back-to-back promotion seasons. Then, in the playoff race, West Brom are fighting against a chaotic background. Coventry have retooled and gone again after last season's Wembley heartbreak. And in the slipstream, we know a big run now can catapult any of the teams on the outskirts of the playoffs right up and into that top 6. If you hadn't guessed, that was the wholesome, romantic, footballing answer to the question as to whether this lineup is the best ever. There's so many great clubs, narratives, subplots, and competition. This season could end up being hugely memorable. And now for the depressing alternative. Is this the best championship lineup ever, or is it just the toughest ever year to get out? You know where we're going. Money in football and money in the championship. Over the past couple of decades, the money that the Premier League has been able to make has gone up astronomically, while the money the Championship has been able to make hasn't. Here, we have a problem. Because of promotion and relegation, each season, 6 teams have to pass in between 2 utterly different financial universes in terms of Premier League and Championship. The solution to lessen the cliff edge was supposed to be parachute payments for each of the relegated clubs. But as the Premier League broadcast deals went up and up. Although that lessened the cliff edge for the relegated teams, it then created a whole other new cliff edge within the Championship between the teams that have and don't have parachute payments. The effect of all these cliff edges? Not good at all. Teams in the Premier League are so terrified of relegation, they gamble. Teams relegated down are so terrified they won't cash in on their short financial advantage, they gamble. Teams without parachute payments who want to compete with those who have them, they gamble. So we get a hell of a lot of gambling going on, a distortion of transfer fees and wages, and a lot of debt being accumulated. Of course, we all understand that an advantage doesn't guarantee success. Not all parachute teams get promoted immediately. There are plenty, in fact, still in the Championship who've recently been up in the Premier League. Also, well-run clubs who don't gamble can make it to the top of the mountain. In recent seasons, Luton and Brentford have carried the old-school football dream of going up through the divisions all the way to the top level. So, this season in the Championship, not only do we have 3 Year 1 parachute teams, and among them some very recent impressive Premier League CVs, but Leicester, Southampton and Leeds have all got their act together and all built very decent Championship teams. On the one hand, this is probably going to lead to an unprecedented high points total and hopefully a hugely exciting promotion race. But could we get the horribly uncompetitive sight of the 3 relegated teams from the Premier League occupying the top 3 spots in the Championship, all with massive points totals, and then the one who misses out on automatic promotion going on to win the playoffs? One of my probably slightly too regularly repeated phrases about this season in the Championship is that a poker player can play their hand perfectly by all mathematical and logical parameters and still lose. I wonder if the likes of Kieran McKenna, Carlos Corberon and Mark Robbins are probably thinking along similar lines to me, that however well they play their hand, certain other players might actually be playing with a completely different deck of cards. So, is the 23-24 Championship lineup the best ever? Maybe so, but knowing what I know now, I think I'm going to call this video, is this the toughest Championship season in history?